met, and I was not on the call. Loretta listened for a long time, and it apparently was somewhat of a mystery because what sounded the day before to be nearly a done deal was characterized at the commission meeting as being a voluntary program. So the miracles of politics, something happened, and it is now a voluntary program. And I told you last time, we told them we're probably not interested in volunteering this program. So the mayor and I were at TRPC last week, and Vic Vandegrift was there, and what Lily was said, the textile representative, what Lily said, characterizes this voluntary program. So we'll see.
And there's a big story on it. Box 4, right? I think they after we had our last meeting. It wasn't very positive.
And I don't think we'll replace the prospect of that. I would be in anyway, that's all there is to the report on that. We will keep you up to date with any further development. Hopefully that's gone well. We do not know who the engineer, Chavez had retired. Did a really, really good job. She was one of the compliments that we given to her over there, I thought was probably one of the better compliments you give to someone in that level of position, and that is that she's successful. You could call her about it, she would call you back. And that's unusual in today's world.
Like this hiring. Probably why she's leaving.
She got tired.
She got tired of people calling her.
It may be. So. Well, if we could look at our agenda then and spend a few minutes on that, we appreciate it. We will, Eric Torrance and Michelle Hastings will be here this evening. And, Robert Medikovich will be here for the Keep Texas Beautiful Award. That was actually an award to CWD, but it was for our program, I think.
Well, that's what?
So, anyway, Robert will be here, and we'll have the quarterly police update. On our consent agenda, we have a local agreement with the city of Fort Worth for the Environmental Collection Center Household Hazardous Waste. That's a mouthful. That is the same program that we've been involved in for several years, and there's no change in the fees on that at all. Choose to award that. Bid number 009-13 is for asphalt repairs. That is to reliable paving. That is another one of those where we estimate the amount of paving repairs that we need, and they bid on a unit price basis, but that is purely an estimate of what we think we'll use. Whatever paving we do using that contractor will be at that unit price.
On street maintenance, do we still use the street sweeper?
Yes, that is good.
I mean, it's a contract, I know, but I just wondered, I hadn't thought about it or seen it in a long, long time.
Chris, do you know, if he's not here, it is, there's a periodic requirement, and it's quarterly on such streets. Do you remember?
I don't remember the schedule.
We need a report on that.
No.
It's I have seen that.
I always see them when the wind is blowing and the leaves and knee deep and the all over the yard.
Come your way.
Item 6 is the minutes of the August 27th and September 3rd meeting. Item number 7 is the plan development on Gateway Boulevard. And this is one of those that I think at our last meeting I said sometimes we make mistakes, and when we do, we just have to admit it. Well, we made a mistake on this particular item. It was posted wrong. And if you look into it, it was posted wrong for the Planning and Zoning Commission. It is, you probably all know where that property is. It's at the corner of Centurion and Gateway, but thanks to some of the council people that actually pointed this out to us, we missed it throughout our review. But the agenda says west of Gateway Boulevard. And it's actually east of Gateway Boulevard. Everything else is right except for that one little cotton-picking word, but it's a pretty important word. And so this was Wayne today, and Mike is visiting with both the seller, who is Glenn Hinckley with Univest, and the buyer, who is Don Dykstra with Glenville Homes. And they, I would tell you that Michael said that they're happy, but I think they understand that what's most important is that we get it right. Quite honestly, we didn't get it right. I don't think there's any doubt in the people around there what is being discussed, because they actually turned out to the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting and made comments. Some of them, I think they were all general support tonight, but they had suggestions for change, and the developer had gone back and had actually addressed, I think, each and every one of them. But it's, we did not put up proper numbers. So what I would like to ask you to do tonight is, when this item comes up, that the motion be that you direct the staff to take this back to P&Z with the proper notice and bring it back to the process. We will renotice residents of the 200 feet radius line, and we'll put an explanation on that of why we're doing it, and then we'll go with another notice in the paper. The notice that went to residents was actually correct, but the Planning and Zoning Commission agenda was incorrect. The public notice that was in the Star Telegram was incorrect, and then your agenda in your council communication here tonight is incorrect. So Wayne has told me this morning that he believes that could possibly be treated as a Scrivener error or something like that. And so I guess to represent both sides, I would have to say Wayne can certainly speak for himself. But that is a possibility to carry through with it tonight. But I'm going to recommend to you that we do it. Right. It would be on the Planning and Zoning Commission night on the 1st.
Yes, sir.
October the 1st, and we double notify, so it will be on the City Council on the 5th. So it's a great project, and I certainly hope nobody reads anything in this other than the fact that it was one of those things, there was an error made several weeks ago, and we just continued it. It's the bottom line. And I'm fully responsible for it.
Both of the others understand what we're going to do tonight.
If they understand, again, I would not say that they like it, because obviously they're anxious to get on with the project. But they understand, and I would hope that, I feel confident they respect our position. That they like it.
We also contacted the individuals that participated in the public hearing and let them know as well.
So we don't even have a public hearing, we just want to get that agenda done. So.
If that's the council's pleasure, you make a motion to return this to the Planning and Zoning Commission and directs the staff to renotice all of the public hearings before the Planning and Zoning Commission and the City Council. If that's what you want to proceed with.
Sure.
Is that the only thing that's wrong with it?
That is west, that is the only thing. And it's, again, the letter that went to the president is correct.
Well, actually, it's
The
just
exhibit
like a really long way to
is that
get
one word that appears in the P&Z communication and the
Yes, sir.
P&Z agenda,
Yes, sir.
the public notice in the newspaper, and then all of it here, everything. There's no doubt in my mind that from a practical standpoint, everybody involved knows what we're doing. But one could raise the issue. Now, I don't want to put Don Dykstra in a,
Yeah, you know, for the sake of with 3 weeks of difference, there's a possible can of worms that could be opened up
Sure.
if somebody wanted to throw a monkey wrench in
And
there.
delay it way longer.
Yeah.
What?
Or 50 years down the road.
Yeah.
No, ma'am, because of the notice required before the P and Z.
Right.
10 days.
10 days, yes, sir.
Yeah, we just, there's only 7 days till the P and Z meeting, so it, and this is just, when I said last week, we make mistakes, and when we do admit it, I didn't expect to have to admit it this quick, but we do make mistakes, and it is one word, but it is.
I'm glad we called it now instead of later.
Well, I appreciate the council for pointing out to us, because otherwise we would, we're too close to it, because there have been 14 people look at this, but most importantly, I looked at it.
At least it proves you we read the stuff.
Pardon?
At least it proves we read the stuff.
Yeah. I actually have one. Anyway, so that would be my recommendation.
Okay.
All right, item number 8 is the telecommunications tower, cell phone tower, that would be there on Dock McGinnis.
We had the opportunity to brief y'all on this before it went before the zoning board of adjustment. This went before the zoning board of adjustment because of the proposed location needed to be considered for a variance from 2 different standards. One standard is that if it was located within 5,000 feet of another cell tower, then you need to explore the opportunities to co-locate on those, of course, to reduce the proliferation of the cell towers. One cell tower that's actually in Bedford to the north will not provide the type of coverage that would extend the Verizon coverage to the south in order to provide the 911 coverage and other coverage associated with your cell phone users if you're a Verizon customer. The second tower is actually in Euless, but as we've discovered, it's no longer an active tower. In fact, it has no active permits, so there's really no opportunity for Verizon, even if they wanted to have considered locating in that area. The second area that they wanted to be granted the variance dealt with the height of the structure in relationship to the location, in this instance, of the Dixie House restaurant and to the China Dragon restaurant. There needed to be a maximum height or separation from those that they simply did not satisfy. The reason why they located the tower in this location is it's immediately to the north of a drainage swale. If you were to locate it south of that drainage swale, you could have met that height ratio, but that would have had as a practical impact an impact on the development potential of that lot. Absolutely, of that. So the ZBA, in response to the presentation that was made by Verizon, and Mason Griffin is with us this afternoon and will join us for the meeting this evening. He represents Verizon, and he can get into very specific detail about the technical specifications of this tower and the coverage that it provides. But in any event, before the ZBA, those 2 variances were granted. In some measure, it was due to the support from the China Dragon and the Dixie House. They said they were absolutely fine with the location of the tower and the height. There had been some question. The red dot here corresponds to the 50 by 50 masonry enclosure that the cell tower will be physically located within. This is a close-up of that tower. You can see it's to the north of the drainage swale. You can see that there are existing trees that will remain around the site to help shield it from Dock McGinnis and from the view that we hope at some point will be less significant when that property to the south is developed. So with the variances that were granted through the ZBA, we could then process this through the Planning and Zoning Commission and the City Council. So this is why it's before you. The Planning and Zoning Commission is recommending approval. All of the other technical requirements associated with the cell tower have been satisfied. Perhaps one of the most significant provisions is that The tower design is monopole, and that it be designed in such a way that it could accommodate 2 additional cell tower antennas. Verizon, coming in first, as you can expect, will be located at the top, but the design would allow 2 additional cell phone tower providers to locate on that.
When you say antennas, are the antennas internal to that pole?
Absolutely, thank you for that clarification. Part of the design criteria that you adopted in the ordinance was that everything's internal to the monopole tower, and this satisfies that requirement.
Any questions?
I may have missed the one in the other room, the total height, I didn't, either I'm just not reading, so what was the total height?
230 feet.
Oh,
Oh, I'm sorry, it's 110 feet.
230
I'm
feet away.
sorry, it's 230 feet away from the tower.
Mr. Dixon was rising back there.
Clarify, it's 110 feet, 230 feet away from the restaurant.
And that, the tower that we have up here off of Midway, is it similar size by the Pentecostal church?
I don't remember what the height of that tower.
We received 0 complaints from that monopole.
I've never heard any.
Yeah, right.
Never heard any.
Mr. Dixon, there's several of those that we have around. Is that height somewhat standard, or?
Yes, sir. We commonly see them this high. That's about as low as you can build these things, and the carriers really need to be above 50 or 60 feet for them to be effective at all. So to accommodate 3 carriers, you need to be at about 110 feet and have proper separation between the antennas. So we try to keep them as short as we can.
230 feet, though, you get really.
230 feet, we could really
This
just.
tower is 110 feet.
And this room's about the same height as the one down there on the 5
Yeah, the one on the south pipeline, Tongman, the church with the Tongman Church. Any questions?